Hello everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another lesson in our ongoing French course. In this lesson, we are going to move on to a different class of spelling change verbs. And the verb we're going to look at today is the verb acheter. Acheter. Notice that the E is not pronounced acheter. Acheter means to buy, as in buying something at the store. It comes from the popular Latin word accaptare, which means to acquire, to seize, to grasp. A distantly related word in English is the word capture. So acheter is a regular ER verb in terms of the endings. You'll use all of these regular ER verb endings when you conjugate the verb, but it's also a spelling change verb. So there are several verbs like this, and I'll show you a list of those verbs at the end of the lesson. So let's take a look at how this verb changes in terms of spelling as we go through the conjugations here. So remember, to find the root, you just have to remove the ER. So we have our root of the verb acheter here, and we're going to add the ending. And notice what happens when I add the je ending. Notice that the E changed to an E with the accent grave. So in French, this is the E accent grave. E accent grave. So we're adding the E accent grave when we add the ending. So essentially, this changes the spelling because the E and the E accent grave are actually two different letters. Okay, so je, and this is also important because it alters the pronunciation as well. Remember, the infinitive is acheter, but when I pronounce this form, j'achète, achète, achète. So you do hear a sound for this vowel. Again, notice what's happening here. The letter is changing. I'll just keep doing that so it will burn into your memory there, right? Okay, very nice. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Tu. We have our root. We're going to add the ES ending, and notice what happens to the E. Tu achètes, tu achètes. Okay. Il, elle, on. We have our root, and we add the ending. Again, the spelling change. Il achète, elle achète, on achète. So he buys, she buys, one buys. Nous. So what's going to happen here is there's going to be no change in the nous and the vous form, just like the other previous spelling change verbs. The change doesn't occur in the nous and vous forms. So we have the root, and for nous, we're going to add the ending. Achetons, achetons, nous achetons. Vous, we have our root, and then this does not change either. So vous achetez, vous achetez. And then il and elle, we have our root, and then we do have the spelling change here. Achète, ils achètent, elles achètent. So a very important thing, notice the pronunciation. Achète, 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 achetons, acheter, achète. So where you do have the E accent grave, you do hear the vowel sound. If it's just the E, there is no sound. So achète, you hear it. Achetons, you don't hear it. Achète, achetons. Okay, so now that you know how to conjugate it, you're aware of the spelling changes, you know how to spell it. Now the fun part. Let's put it into context. Maybe you have some really big news and you tell someone, j'achète une voiture. What does that mean? It means, well, I buy a car or I'm buying a car. It can also mean I do buy a car. So, j'achète une voiture. I'm buying a car. Wow, big news. Not as big news. J'achète un vélo. J'achète un vélo. I buy or I'm buying a bike, a bicycle. J'achète un vélo. And let's take a look at another example here. J'achète le ticket. J'achète le ticket. I buy the ticket. The ticket. J'achète le ticket. So I'm sure someone out there is going to say, wait a minute, I thought the word for ticket was le billet. And I would say, well, yes and no. J'achète le billet means I'm buying the ticket. So yes, it is a ticket. So we have le ticket and le billet. What's the difference? Ticket tends to be things like a ticket for the bus or a ticket for the subway. Billet tends to be more expensive things like season tickets to the opera or a plane ticket or a train ticket. So we have le ticket and le billet. Here's another example of a nice question that someone might ask you. Qu'est-ce que vous achetez? Qu'est-ce que vous achetez? This means what are you buying? Or what do you buy? What do you buy? What are you buying? Notice the est-ce que that you see in questions, and it's preceded by the que. So what, literally what you buy. In other words, what are you buying? Qu'est-ce que vous achetez? Qu'est-ce que vous achetez? So now it's your turn. You're going to answer by saying, well, I'm buying some books. How would you say that in French? I'm buying some books. So remember, I buy, I do buy, I'm buying is simply the present tense form. J'achète. And some books, remember to use the indefinite article. Don't say les livres. Those are the books. But some books, des livres. J'achète des livres. I'm buying some books. Did you get that right? 100%. Fantastic. Félicitations. Okay, well, to finish off here, I just want to show you what are some other verbs that function like acheter, that have a similar spelling change. There's achever, which means to finish a task in particular. Amener, to bring along, to bring a person along to an event or somewhere. Emmener, to take a person to some place. And the verb lever, to lift or to raise. So all of these will have the E changing to an E with the accent grave in all of the forms except for the nous and the vous. So that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, I would appreciate it very, very much if you'd give it a like. Subscribers, thank you for your support. To go on to another lesson and continue learning, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.